ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Up the U's, the channel dedicated to my love and hopefully your love, all things Colchester United. The U's are on the road this week as we headed off to Blundell Park to face Grimsby Town. It was a 2-1 win on the day with a brace from on-loan striker Micah and Bick. Now let's take a look at the highlights of today's. I was very thankful to be joined by Jordan, a Grimsby Town fan, as he gave his view and his opinion on the game. So I am joined this week by Jordan, who is a Grimsby fan. Jordan, how are you doing, mate?
I've been better, I'll be honest. When you sent me the message to come on yesterday, after the game, very nearly said no. But I thought I'd come on. It was great to see you again, Ryan. You all right yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, man. For like you say, we've met before in the past, but for those that are potentially new, what is it that you do?
Okay, so I help run a podcast called League Two Lowdown, formerly Fourth Tier Fever. I do that with a few of us. We've taken a couple more people on board, and it's basically just a general discussion about League Two football. We do previews, reviews. We look to try and get the odd interview where we can as well. We've got a couple of things in the pipeline that we'll hopefully share more information soon. And yeah, it's basically just a few lads together just talking about the fourth division as we do. So yeah, we've been doing this for just over a year now. We're in our second season doing it, and the channel's grown relatively well. It's exceeded my expectations starting it. So yeah, I've been enjoying it, and that's where you can mainly find me.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I will put all of the links down to everything that Jordan does down below. Please do make sure you head over, give him a like, give him a follow, subscribe. The work that they do is phenomenal, and the knowledge that everyone on there's got is just mind-boggling. It is incredible. So, come on then, let's talk about the game. We make the travel to Blundell Park. I think before the game, it was one of them that on paper we've come off a very, very comfortable. I don't want to say comfortable 6-2 win. It looks like it. Chesterfield weren't terrible. They were a good side. It was just that day, everything worked for us, and every time we went on the attack, it looked like we was going to score. And you boys, David Artell this season has got you working. He has got you playing some good stuff. And before the game, you're sitting in third. So on paper, it was sort of one of them. We go, "Do you know what? This might be the game to sort of keep an eye on, and might be one to watch." Sort of panned out that way a little bit. A few controversial decisions. Again, another controversial referee. But we'll start with with the first goal, which for a Colchester United fan, for me, very, very poor to give away. Danny said in his interview after the game that the two things that they knew that you would do on a corner would either play it short or play it into the front post area. he played into the front post area, and Green flicks it in and makes it 1-0.
Yeah. It's and of course it's come from another ball from Charles Vernon, of course the man that's is on fire, probably the best League Two player around at the minute. That's just my bias in there, but I genuinely do believe that. It sort of shocked me with Green's leap. I knew he had something like that in him. It sort of caught me by surprise that I saw it ended up in the back of the net. But yeah, as you say, we've scored quite a few goals from corners this season. Whether we played it short or we have played the typical corner, as you say, just whipping it into the box. We've scored quite a couple then this year, and especially against Colchester as well. A Danny Cowley side. Look, we'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but yeah, I think it sort of caught me by surprise, and it was after a period in which I don't think we started spectacularly. I thought we started okay the game, and that was in the period. I always thought going into the game, I thought the first goal would have been crucial. Because that's just what I thought the sort of game it was. I obviously saw your guys' result last week and instantly had me worried. Um, but no, it was good to get the early goal, and it was sort of good. It was lasted. It was, to be honest, it was pretty much as good as it got, really.
Yeah, no, I think watching it from a Colts United point of view, I mean, it's what, about 30, 40 seconds in when Mbitkwat goes 1-on-1, and you could possibly
Mm,
say maybe a more experienced striker might have scored, or was it a very, very good save from a very experienced goalkeeper like Christy Pym? But me watching it, I was sitting there, when we play him next week, I was getting a bit of a Harrogate feel. I was sort of thinking, right, we're going to go for this, try and get a goal in the first 15, 20 minutes, and then just sit back and defend. And I
yeah.
think your goal sort of opened us up a little bit and opened our eyes to be like, no, right now we really need to get a goal because, like you say, the way that you've been playing this season, once you got one, you could have quite easily got two, got three, got four,
Mm.
and you would have had the backing to do it. And our goal, complete and utter goal mouth scramble, proper League Two goal, if you ask me. I think when the goal went in, the commentator gave it to one player, our Twitter account gave it to another player. I was sitting there going, it was this player. So I still don't think they know who got it. But going in at half time at 1-1, I think was a fair result for or a fair scoreline for both teams. And I think it was going to be in the second half, whichever team got the next goal was going to be the team that was probably going to go on and get the 3 points.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Um, it was sort of a half, sort of in two different spells. Like I said, I felt like the first 20, 25 minutes, other than that early Colchester chance aside, I thought we did okay. Like I said, nothing spectacular, but I thought we did okay. And it almost sort of felt that right after we scored, we sort of it was neither we sort of took our foot off the gas, or I think Colchester figured us out. And I think I think both can be correct. Um, but as you mentioned, I mean, that goal for the equaliser was scrappy as anything. Just didn't clear our lines, and it's taken a couple of good shots before it eventually was followed in. Of course, you know when you're defending that sort of goal, it's a really poor goal to concede. Sort of the tale of two corners, really, for both sides, and how pretty easy, I guess. Maybe at times it sort of was. Um, for both. But I don't think you can really have any arguments about the first half. I totally agree that I think probably 1-1 going into it was probably a fair result. I don't think either side were quite at their best, really, and it sort of reflected on that first half, is what I felt.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100% agree with what you're saying. It was one of the, like I say, when it got to the half-time break, I was sitting there, you're sort of going through, having a look at some of the stats, and you're sitting there and go, do you know what? 1-1 seems like a fair result. I say the and big chance early on, maybe. Obviously, last season we had Lyle Taylor as our striker. If Lyle Taylor was in that position, would it maybe have been 1-0? But then it would have potentially have been then literally 45 minutes of just defending our line and just 10 men back and really, really boring football. But I think it made it so it had the second half had to be good because both teams are like, well, we both need to get this next goal. And also the next goal did come from our little diamonds up front, Mika and Bick, who we've got on loan. Was it a high foot?
Straight to the point. Right. Okay. If it's against, I've been thinking about this. If it's against your team, let's say the roles were reversed. If we did that, if Jace Cabia did that or something like that, if it was on the other foot, I think you'd probably argue the same. I
Yeah.
think it's one of those. I've seen plenty of them given before.
Hmm.
Yes, I do get the argument that his head has sort of gone towards him, but I think it was Warren, sort of gone towards it a little bit. So you can maybe see it from that instance. But at the same time, you're claiming for that every day if you're if you're on the receiving end of that.
Yep.
Look, taking nothing away from the finish from Mbick, it's a brilliant look. I don't really know what Pim's doing. He's in no man's land. I guess he's having to recover from it because of Warren's mistake. It's not like he. The thing is, it's not like Warren really made a meal out of it either. He sort of got straight back up, which is sort of fainted those claims a little bit. But look, I think you can understand the best of both worlds. I'm still under the impression that it is, purely because I'm always going to think that. Being the home fan, I thought it was at the time. I was raging at the time. Could we have done better to stop that before that happened? Absolutely. But to see that then and then, I think David Artell said he took his head off really. With that, it was more TBH or whatever it was. But look, it is what it is. I'm personally bitterly frustrated from it, and I personally think it is. But I can see the argument both ways. But I'm just trying to make the argument. If it was on the other foot, I could see the arguments saying that it should be a high foot go the other way as well. I think that's just football fans in general, to be honest. I think we're all quite
Yeah.
rational and
We're,
reactionary as it is. But
we're quite tribal, aren't we?
yeah, but I'm claiming that. I
Yeah.
honestly don't think that should have counted, but of course I'm going to say that.
Yeah, a friend of mine was watching the game, and he said to me, he went, high foot? I went, no, never. He went, what if it was the other way around? I went, yeah, it was high foot.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like you say, for me, when a high foot, defender put his head down there. If it was, so like you say it was KBO against Tucker, I'd be going, that's a high foot. Well, like, he's booted him in the head. He's
Mm.
took his head off. It's GBH. But yeah, Kobe United fans, nah, they weren't a high foot. Grimsby fans, high foot. That's just football in it. And with how the referee was on Saturday, you can see why it potentially wasn't given and why it was missed. I think we went into half time with I think six yellow cards, and one of them being,
Mm.
I think it could only be Danny Cowley that gets booked when we score. I don't know if it was celebrations that got him booked or what it was, but that was quite interesting. And one of our other lads as well, young lad Ronnie Harvey, got booked. He weren't even in the matchday squad. He was just
Mm.
on the bench. The ball was a bit of the sort of dark arts. The ball was under the bench, and everyone
Yeah,
was like, "Well,
sort of.
where is it? I don't know where it is." It was in his. Then the ref booked him, and he was sitting there. Was like, "I'm not even in the squad." So that was an interesting one, just to say the least. But yeah, 60th minute, we get the second goal. We go 2-1 up. And I think at that point, I think most Grimsby fans were thinking, well, this is Danny Cowley's side. They're 2-1 up. I wonder what's going to happen now. And for me, sitting there, I don't have many of my nails left because it was at that point where we just sat back. We were like, yep, we've got the goal. And you just came at us and you were just giving it all. And I think it's the 88th minute when you hit the post. Could you see yourself potentially getting back in it, or were you sitting there thinking, nah, that's it, it's done?
Uh, I'll be honest. We've talked about the goal and how I think it shouldn't have stood. But if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I thought we were really poor second half. I thought we were really sluggish. Um, and as soon as Colchester went 2-1 up, I always thought, this is a Danny Cowley side, master of the dark arts, etc. We never tend to beat Danny Cowley sides anyway, whether it's with you lot, whether it was back in the day with Braintree or God forbid Lincoln, as it was there. We just never seem to do it, other than last season, which is once in a blue moon, in which you actually did it at your place. But no, we really struggled. There's a lot of poor performances. I think we struggled to string two passes together. Colchester sort of worked us out, I feel, sort of knew. I think they sort of had it in the bank, but I think it was a little bit, I think it was like 94th, 95th minute when we hit the woodwork. Actually, it was Soon's up belt. It was a really difficult header for him actually. And again, it would have been. I think it would have been a very good point if we'd have nicked something from that. But ultimately, I felt like we've got what we deserve from it. Other than the first 20, 25 minutes or so, as I say, well, I thought we were okay. Other than that, I don't think we got anywhere we weren't at our fluent best that I know we can be. It wasn't for a lack of effort. I was dead critical when we lost 3-0 to Barnet, that I saw a lack of effort and I saw a side that didn't want to play football. Yesterday, I saw a team that were giving effort, but honestly didn't have an answer. And there's this whole wider debate around Grimsby at the minute. How do we deal with these sorts of sides that once they've got their hackles up, they're not gonna give much away? How do we deal with that? We've got Gillingham at home next week, so that'll be Gareth Ainsworth's side. So that'll be another indication as to how we deal with that. But yeah, we just didn't have an answer, and I was really disappointed with the response. Look, the referee didn't help. I thought he was poor all around. But I also saw a number of poor performances from some of those players yesterday, which really disappointed me, especially after a good win going to Salford last week and picking up an excellent win there. But look, I'm not going to be too disheartened with it. I think it's just one of those. Let's just dust off, move on. Another tough game against Gillingham next week, back at home, and I do want to see it a little bit better than that, to be quite honest, because I think that was the only thing we did second half really, and that was right at the end. I think the point would have been unjust really. Yeah, look, Colchester deserved to win. There's no complaining from me there. Yeah, it is what it is. We sort of move on really.
Yeah. Was obviously as a Colchester fan, no bits and pieces about Grimsby. Was that a sort of full strength Grimsby side? Was there a few players that were out injured?
No, but it's probably our strongest squad. We've not rotated a hell of a lot this season. We've normally stick to a front three of KB as a striker and Vernon and Dara Burns on both wings. That's normally been our attacking three. There's been a couple of changes at times with Burns, Amaluza. I mean, Van Thorsten's near enough coming back to fitness, and he had the last half an hour. So there's good competition there. We've had Danny Rose out injured for the start of the season. He's just coming back to fitness. And no, it was sort of how we sort of lined up the midfield was the same. Corey, Green, McEachran is our go-to midfield three. Rogers at right back and Warren as the centre back has been a change, obviously, because the roles were reversed last season. Warren was the recognised right back, while Rogers was the centre back. We've been trying to do that this season. Yeah, Sweeney was at left back. He's our starting left back. Moreover, Staunton, McJansen now, of course, Pim's in goal. The bench was relatively strong as it is, seeing the likes of Rose, Soons, Bell, Van Thorsten on it. Is only going to get more stronger with when Zach Gilson comes back. One or two others as well. It was nearing a full strength. And I think it was just one of those days, really, in which just nothing that we tried to do came off. Dave Artell was dead critical about, we didn't try and play football second half, and you can totally see where he was coming from with that squad, because I don't think, like I said, I don't think it was down to a lack of effort or anything like that. I just think a lot of them just had really poor days at the office, really.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like I say, I genuinely thought that your squad was, or your team that you fielded was a very, very strong squad. Um, Three players for me that stood out: Green and Curry in the midfield. Them two next to each other were brilliant. They sort of, you had McEachran sitting just behind them, so they sort of gave the role to just sort of maraud around the pitch and sort of do what they want. But yeah, Vernon on the wing was just an absolute nightmare for us to try and deal with. Wouldn't say he's someone that's got loads of pace, but he's someone that knows the league very well, so he knows exactly what to do. And early on, it was one of them where you were like, we need to just man mark him and marshal him out of the game. In terms of Colchester, was there anyone that sort of stood out to you?
Yeah, I think the midfield battle one was interesting. Arthur Reed and I forgot his name, Ted Bishop. I
Yeah.
think did he play? Yeah. And of course, Jack Payne. There was a couple of instances where Jack Payne did throw himself to the floor a few times. Of course, he got booked in the first half for it. But yeah, look, we're always going to get a battle when we play Colchester and a Danny Cowley Colchester. We're always going to get that. I thought Mbek did cause quite a few problems. Of course, probably, as you say, probably should have scored that chance early on, and of course, did take that chance in the second half. When it came to him, yeah, it was just the physical side really, and it was always going to be a good test to see where we are and how we dealt with sides that I think come to play us. And let's say maybe at times, look, Colchester have got some good players, have got some good footballers, and can certainly attack. Have got some good ability. But let's be honest, I don't think for 1 minute they really came in there and did try and play footballs. Maybe is what it sounded like. And look, I think that's probably the way to beat us, because I think if you try and play football against us, chances are you'll lose the game. I think is what that's certainly what I've seen this season. I think we're a very good football inside. I think it's the other side of the game. I think we need to sort of learn from, sort of adapt to, and sort of try to do it ourselves when needed. I think it's sort of the do's and don'ts at the minute. Um, I think we're sort of in that phase. But no, look, there's some good players in there. I thought like I said, the midfield battle was interesting. I think it probably helped with our midfield for the fact that Corey and McEachran were on bookings for a lot of that game, and it sort of restricted them a little bit, especially McEachran. He put a couple of little challenges in when he was on yellow. It was right to take him off, because I think if he'd put in another one, I think he'd have seen red. But yeah, look, I'm just a very well organised side. It was what I expected, and there was quite a few standout players at the in the Colchester side yesterday, that's for sure.
Yeah. So was this just a blip, just one of them footballing games? Still confident? I mean, you're looking at the table at the moment. I think you was in third. You've dropped down to fifth. Are you sort of still looking at the playoffs, looking at the All Max? Is this where you sort of see Grimsby being this season?
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so anyway. Of course, we've only lost 3 games this season, obviously to you guys. We've lost to Barnet, as I've mentioned, and we've lost to Darrell Clark's Bristol Rovers. Of course, the Bristol Rovers game coming straight after Man United. You can maybe understand it from that standpoint, but probably did enough to win the game on reflection. Barnet were just very poor all around, deserved absolutely nothing from it. And yesterday against Colchester, there were little bits and pieces, mainly in the first half, but again, probably didn't deserve anything from it. I'm hopeful that's just a little blip in the road. We're always going to taste defeat this season. No doubts about it. We can't be perfect every week, especially with how we want to play. Gillingham, I'll be honest, a side like Gillingham is not really what I want to play next for a response. We've been in the midst of a couple of tough games. We went to Salford last week, did a good job. We've obviously lost to you guys. Obviously Gillingham to come, then we take the trip to Crewe at the end of the month. We're a little bit hit and miss at the minute, as I've always tended to be. But no, it's just where I fully expect us to be in and around this position come the end of the season. I've seen enough to suggest that I think we're good enough for it. Certainly, I think we looked more prepared than what we ever did last season. Obviously, we brought in more of that depth, which I think really killed us last year. I've mentioned a couple of times, I think if we had the sort of bench, maybe some of the players that we could able to bring on now in the last 5 or 10 games or something like that, I think we would have made the top 7 last season. But ultimately, the quality that we did have last season just wasn't good enough. That's obviously now improved. And of course, the season's always been about progression. If we can take the next step, and the only way I can see that just missing out by a couple of points is by going the next step and making the top 7. I don't expect us to get top 3. I never have done. I still don't think I will do. I know a lot of people out there are quite excited by us at the minute, and I think maybe at times this season myself, it's been quite hard to get to be quite calm a little bit and to not get carried away when we've had some good wins and we played some brilliant football along the way, scored loads of goals. But it's just one of those which I think you've got to point out the mistakes, sort of learn from it and move on. I think this is the time where you don't really give the players a bollocking or anything like that. I think it's just more, let's put an arm around them, let's get behind them, and let's move on to the next game. Other than the Barnet one, they probably deserved it. But other than that, they've been pretty good this season on the whole. Of course, we're in the fourth round of the Carabao Cup as well. We've got Brentford at the end of the month. Will be another exciting opportunity at Blundell Park. So look, on the whole, it's been an encouraging start. Let's just hope. I just hope yesterday was just a blip, a bit like what it was a couple of weeks ago. But knowing this team of what I've seen already, I'd like to think that'll be the case. So let's see where we go from there.
Yeah, like you say, you're sort of you have a game like this, like you always the next game you're like right the wrongs, go back, get the win. You're playing the Gills for us in the last 3 games we've played. Obviously, beat Chesterfield, beat the Gills in the I think it's still called the Virtue Trophy at the moment. Probably change next week. And then obviously beating you on Saturday. We're then thinking, right, the next game, keep the momentum going. We have Harrogate at home. So both teams are sort of like, right, let's continue this or let's right the wrongs. And we've both got difficult games. You've got the difficult game because the Gills are just really, really strong this season. We have a difficult game because it's Harrogate and they're away from home, which is the games everyone loves. I think I'm meant to be working, so I'm unfortunately miss it, which would be a real shame. Um, but I think with the team that you've got and with the manager you've got in Artel, I think this season is going to be a good season for you guys. I think top three, possibly. There is always that one team that drop and that one team that climb. It was looking like it was going to be us last season, but I think that you'll definitely be in and around the playoffs, and then you never know, maybe a trip to the capital come May, and you can finally get out of League Two, get into League One, and then hopefully not see you for a couple of years. But this is football. It could then all go downhill, and then you're sitting there down the bottom of Cheltenham, sort of going, "What the hell has gone wrong since I coached the game?" But Jordan, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you tonight. Just once again, just remind everyone where they can catch you.
So yeah, you can find me as well as the other team as I'm part of over at League Two Lowdown, formerly 4 Fever. Like I say, be sure to go check out. There is a recording tonight. I'm not on it, so I'm sure there'll be a few comments saying that I'm hiding, not talking about this game. But I'll also point them to the direction of this one, if so you can get my thoughts on this. Really, but probably a little bit more calmer than maybe what I have been over there. But now you can go and check me out, and you can follow my Twitter as well. You'll find it on the League Two Lowdown account as well. Over there.
Like I say, I'll put all the links down below to the League Two Lowdown, to Jordan, to everyone over there. Like I say, head over there, give them a like, give them a follow. It's amazing what they're doing, and the knowledge is absolutely incredible. But Jordan, until we play again, best of luck for the rest of the season. Like I say, Grimsby will be fine. But yeah, best of luck, and I'll chat to you again soon.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, mate.
That was Jordan's views on the game. Now let's see how Danny Cowley saw that afternoon's affairs as he spoke on Col UTV.
Danny, you wanted to make a good week a great week. Has it been a great week for us?
Yeah, I think so. 3 really good performances. Obviously, really good performance last Saturday against Chesterfield. I thought we played with a really lovely rhythm and were ruthless and clinical. Then Tuesday night, 9 changes, and to play as well as we did and to beat a good Gillingham team was fantastic. And then to come here, I said before, the best team that we've seen this year, certainly in the lead up. Really well organised team, well coached, got some really good players. And to come here and to win and to play as well as we did was really rewarding for us.
And you always knew there was going to be bits of the game that they were better, we were better, but must have been really pleased with the start to the game and how we cut through Grimsby in the very first minute. Yeah,
we have a lovely way into the game because they're normally quick starters. We have a great start, brilliant move. Payne plays Micah through. Micah doesn't score, just misses, and he's an 18-year-old, so straight away you think, how's he going to cope? Because this is always when a striker misses a clear-cut chance, but. You shouldn't have to. I didn't need to worry because that kid has got real substance and real minerals, and he comes to me after. The first thing he says, I should have had 3, and that kind of says a lot about his mentality, and is a big reason why he's the player he is, and he's going to go on to have a really good career.
And talking of his 2 goals, 2 very different goals because he shows his physicality and then just his technical ability for the second.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we had a good start and then we concede a really poor goal for us because we know that they either play lots of shorts, maybe 60% of their corners are short corners, or they target the near post, and we changed our players to be able to deal with that and treat that, and we had physicality in there, but we didn't quite deal with it as well as we could. We knew Green was a real threat for them, but we didn't deal well enough in that moment. And then of course they had their tails up and they're a good team at home, and we had to suffer and we had to really stick in there and dig deep, and I thought we did, and we showed enough resilience in that. It was only a short period,
but then finished the first half better.
Yeah, so. we did. We got good control, and Nicky said to me on the earpiece that after 30 minutes, 35 minutes, just before we'd equalised, we're playing well here, and it felt like we'd found a good rhythm. And then really good set piece goal, good delivery, great win by Tux, and Micah, Johnny on the spot finds the equaliser, and I thought it was the least that we deserved in that first half.
And when you come in at half time, is the message just to carry on. Carry on. Have you been doing for the last?
No, there was quite a few it was a tactical game today. I enjoyed it because they're a good team, so of course they ask tactical questions of you. So there was a few tactical tweaks that we needed to make. And yeah, Nicky, to be fair, had noticed that Harvey Aruju, that we were getting so much ball for Harvey, and he was stepping in with good quality, and we just needed to get Ellis a little bit higher. We need to get Harry inside, and that would open up the channel for Micah. In the first half, Micah's runs were too early, and he was getting in, but he was going towards the corner flag. So this time, we managed to get him in. A great ball from Harvey, and the first touch is brilliant from Micah, but the second one is even better. And as Christy Pym comes charging out, just for him to have the presence of mind, but also the quality to execute was great for us.
And then obviously with the injury time added on, we did have to defend well there. Had that bit of luck, but you deserve that sometimes.
I think so, because they have 2 chances all game, and they're a really good team. And I think only 6 shots on our goal, and we have nearly 15. So we're the away team. So I thought the little bit of luck that we did have at the end was definitely well deserved. Because it's in maybe the corner of the bar on the post. But yeah, we've left enough points out there this year where we've played really well and not got value. So today, I thought, it was a really well-deserved win against, like I said, and I mean, it's a really good Grimsby team.
And fantastic at the end to celebrate with all the fans in the corner.
Yeah, pleased for them, because you know what, it's been a really good week for us. Probably my favourite week since I've been at Colchester United, because you come off the back of that second half performance at Fleetwood where we all let ourselves down, and you're like, it really stung and hurt us because we're proud people, and for us to respond in the way we have, Chesterfield, Gillingham, and then another win today at Grimsby was great. And this was my favourite of the 3 wins because the group showed the grit and the determination and resilience that we need to find regularly and consistently. We've lost a lot of physical players to injury. Obviously having Ellis back is so important, but we've got some other key players and key leaders out. So for the boys to really step up in that area bodes well for what is to come. And now we have 3 wins, and we have to now try to build on that.
A good weekend for all involved with Colchester United, as that's now 3 wins in a row in all competitions. Hopefully we can carry that momentum on, but we all know how Harrogate play for their football. Make sure you keep an eye out on the socials and on the channel, as on Friday I will be releasing episode 2 of Past and Present with another Colchester United legend, Mr. Carl Dugard. So make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you hit that bell notification so you get notified of when that video goes live. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that like button, and I will see you on the next one. And as always, remember, up the Utes.